G'day everyone, it's Engelo Rumora here. I'm your favorite Australian and the real estate dingo, bringing you another awesome vlog. And today I'm talking about this: how to deal with a tenant that abandons your property. Let's get it started. So before I get into the nitty-gritty of what you should do if your tenant abandons your property, something that you need to do beforehand is you need to minimize your risk of that ever happening, okay? Now, how you do that, guys, is by having a tenant qualification process, and a really good one. And some of the things that we look for in our property management company when we evaluate tenants, and something that you should do is this. First of all, you should check their income. Their income has to be 3 times the monthly rent. Of course, verify this with pay stubs and call the employer just to make sure that the pay stub figures are accurate. Another thing that you need to do is you need to do a eviction history check. If anyone has any kind of eviction on their record, in my opinion, that should be an automatic fail because the likelihood of them doing that again is pretty high. And last but not least, guys, what you need to do is a background check. Any criminal activity from a felony standpoint or anything on those lines, in my opinion, you should not rent to these individuals just because they tend to be a lower socioeconomic type character. A lot of problems tend to come with such individuals, and in my opinion, you should not rent a property to them. If they do have a minor criminal activity that's years and years old, it does happen. We always try and work out a deal, and I suggest that you do too. I always like to kind of joke around and say that money speaks every language, okay? So if someone's willing to put down 3, 4, 5, 6 months of rent in advance, or a large deposit, first month's rent, last month's rent, and whatnot, I think that should kind of minimize your risk because you'll have that buffer of the capital there. So look, I think it's very important that you give yourself the best chance before you put a tenant in that property. You want them to stay and pay for a long time, okay? So make sure that your tenant qualification process is awesome. Now, once you've kind of gone through that, you've placed a tenant in your property, it's all fairy tales and butterflies, and then what happens? After 2 months, they just tend to disappear. Okay, guys, it's real estate. It's a roller coaster of a ride. I am here to tell you right now, if you think it's not going to happen to you, it probably will. So you always have to base everything you do on the worst case scenario. Something that I like to tell investors is underestimate your income, overestimate your expenses when you're investing in buy and hold properties, because shit will always hit the fan. Something will go wrong. You need to expect that to happen. So look, the tenants, unfortunately, we've placed a lot of great tenants in properties. At least we thought they were great, and they pack up and leave. After 2 months, 3 months, they just disappear. They abandon the property. They move out of state. We can't hear from them. We call them, we text them, we email them. They're just MIA. The property's vacant. I mean, these things happen. We've had a lot of tenants that would stop paying after 2 or 3 months for no apparent reason. They just stop communicating and we have to evict. So what do you do? Do you hold a grudge, file for an eviction, go to court, succumb to that negative emotion, that negative energy? Look, in my opinion, guys, there's enough crap that happens in real estate on a daily basis, as is, okay? You're dealing with people, and when you deal with people, they equal problems, okay? From employees to contractors to realtors, to everyone, okay? So in my opinion, whenever something negative happens, you should learn from the experience and you should let go of it and you should move on as quickly as you can. You have to focus on the positive energy. And I'm not trying to be spiritual here with you guys. That's not my point. But my point is, it's sometimes very tough being motivated in an industry where a lot of negativity can happen, as I just mentioned. So you have to feed yourself with as much positivity as you possibly can. Holding a grudge against a tenant that vacated after 3 months, and trying to, collect the remainder of the lease rent and filing for an eviction and going through the court process, extra costs, extra time, and time is money, guys. Don't forget that. In my opinion, it's not worth what you could potentially get from it. The likelihood of ever collecting anything is very low. So I just think you should let it go. I honestly do. I just think you should get that property turned as quickly as you possibly can. And I think you should relist it for rent and try and get another tenant in there and, learn from the mistake. Maybe something slipped through the cracks through your tenant qualification process. Okay, so in my opinion, let it go, move on. Now, if they cause significant damage to the property and there's a lot of capital that needs to be spent to turn that property around, well then yes, I guess file for the eviction and go for second cause so you can at least hopefully get judgment and collect something on that money in 2, 3, 5, 10 years from now. Maybe that particular tenant's circumstances change. They become a decent human being and they want to pay back some of the debts or the drama that they caused to others over the past. Once again, I doubt that's going to happen. But in my opinion, guys, cut your losses short and just move on. It's something that I have done, will keep doing. I have stopped counting at $2 million over the last 5 years in my real estate endeavors, from tenants to employees to contractors to sour businesses making mistakes. And I mean, you name it, it's just the cost of doing business. As long as you make more money than you lose, you'll always be ahead, right? And I remember I got some great advice from someone that spoke to a very successful businessman back home in Australia. And he said, you can't go wrong making a profit. If it's $1 or $100,000, it doesn't matter as long as you make a profit. That's the only thing that matters. So, hey, guys, that's pretty much it. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Do you file for an eviction? Do you hold a grudge? Do you, do everything in your power to make their life hell moving forward? Or do you just let things go like me and take it on the chin like a big boy or big girl and move on? I'd love to hear from you. Comment below. And that's pretty much it for today. I'm Engelo Rumora. I'm your favorite Australian and the real estate dingo. I'll catch you in the next vlog.